So, how does irrational thinking on the therapist's part interfere with effective cognitive behavioral therapy? First, therapists' irrational thinking leads them to believe that the ABCs of emotions apply to some emotional reactions, but not all. For example, they believe that the ABC model applies to one's angry reaction to being mistreated by one's boss, but it does not apply to one's reaction to having been raped. I have found that a main reason for that assumption is that the therapist has a sensitivity to the issue, for example, of rape. Perhaps they were raped themselves. When the therapist hold to these kinds of erroneous assumptions, they will necessarily inhibit the client's healing as they will either directly state or indirectly imply that since the rape itself is causing the distress, they will always have difficulty with it to some degree. And that's just so sad. However, rational therapists understand that the ABCs of emotions apply to all learned emotions and behaviors, no matter the circumstance. In the case of rape, for example, we seek to understand the meaning that the person has attached to the event. Why does the client continue to make himself or herself miserable over the event? It is because they assume that having been raped what it will mean for their present and their future. If they assume that it would have no impact whatsoever on the rest of their lives, they likely would compartmentalize it as a very, very unfortunate experience for which they are thankful it's over.